Hook identity and mission. Under the silver-gray sky of Berlin, the Unter den Linden boulevard appears as a silent witness to the cataclysmic shifts of time. In that space, Ray's voice rises low, yet carrying an invisible weight that what you are seeing almost vanished. All are merely remaining fragments of a reality that was once incinerated. He asserts that this place shouldn't exist without the iron, the hands that molded it from the ashes of wars to create a magnificent form. Berlin to Ray is not just inanimate blocks of stone, but a grim combination of the blood of soldiers and the light of intellect from philosophers. Right after those contemplations, the surrounding space begins to vibrate and shift back to the 18th century, the moment when Berlin started to shed its old skin of a military town to transform into a new center of power in Europe under the proud rise of the Kingdom of Prussia. The greatness. Under the Berlin sky of the 18th century, a great transformation unfolded as Frederick the Great was determined to turn his capital into Athens on the spree. Following resounding victories in wars of territorial expansion, he consolidated absolute military power for Prussia, elevating the nation into the ranks of Europe's leading powers. Standing before the Charlottenburg Summer Palace, one is overwhelmed by its magnificent expansion with endless corridors and rooms adorned in gold and rare porcelain, a testament to the immense wealth and supreme authority he brought back after his conquests. Not far away, the Staatsoper Unter den Linden emerges like a cathedral of art with its sturdy stone columns and a cold yet proud neoclassical facade. Every architectural line of this opera house was not just for entertainment, it was a manifesto of a rising empire where iron military strength was skillfully cloaked in the mantle of high culture and intellect. Standing beneath the long shadows of these structures, humans seem utterly small before the immortal ambitions and the grand vision of a monarch who completely reshaped the power map of the continent. Pulse of the Enlightenment era. Moving away from the quiet and solemn palace corridors, Berlin truly awakens within the spaces of bustling bookstores and cafes filled with the scent of fresh paper and the flavor of lively discussions. This was a golden age when the city became a massive magnet, drawing the most brilliant minds of all Europe together. Voltaire, the eminent philosopher, with a pen as sharp as a sword, and liberal ideas brought the burning breath of French philosophy to Frederick the Great's very tea table, sparking fiery dialogues about human rights reason and human progress. Meanwhile, in studios and libraries, Johann Joachim Winckelmann was busy redefining the beauty of the ancient world, igniting the flames of neoclassicism in the hearts of art lovers and contemporary scientists. Amidst the clattering horse hooves and the dust from construction sites rebuilding the city, the people of Berlin breathed not just the air of a disciplined military capital, but the turbulence of an intellectual revolution, challenging all the old barriers of the era. Berlin at this time was a living entity, beating in sync with the greatest thoughts, where the light of knowledge began to dissipate the night of ignorance. Refuge of the soul. Amidst the rhythmic and intense sounds of a kingdom, vigorously stretching its wings with the clatter of military boots and horse hooves, Berlin still knew how to reserve spaces of profound silence for people to return to their inner selves. St. Hedwig's Cathedral emerged as a unique architectural landmark, the first Catholic church erected in the heart of a land deeply marked by austere Protestantism. With its vast dome modeled after the legendary Pantheon, this structure was not only a sanctuary for prayer, but also a living testament to the religious tolerance and progressive vision of Frederick the Great. Upon stepping over the threshold, the clamor of Unter den Linden seemed entirely blocked behind heavy oak doors, giving way to drifting incense and soft rays of light streaming through stained glass windows. Here, or by the gentle Spree River quietly reflecting the palace's time, seemed to freeze in a slow breath. It was the very moment when souls weary from bloody military campaigns or intense philosophical debates found solace, a peaceful sanctuary to contemplate the finitude of human existence against the endless and mysterious flow of both faith and history. The identity of stone and art. The 18th century in Berlin was a sublime exploration of neoclassical and Baroque art. Under the molding hands of minds like Johann Joachim Winckelmann, architecture was no longer just inanimate stone, but a revival of noble ancient values, the Brandenburg Gate. The city's eternal symbol was sketched during this period as a gateway to peace, echoing the Parthenon with its perfect proportions and absolute balance. Along the Unter den Linden boulevard, Baroque influences still lingered in ornate decorations, but gradually gave way to the elegance and restraint of neoclassicism. Art in this era did not stop at buildings. It permeated every exquisite sculpture and every opera performed at the Staatsoper, where music and architecture blended to honor reason and pure beauty. It was an era when Berlin defined itself through beauty, a cold yet brilliant aesthetic that transformed the city into a vast open-air museum in the heart of Europe. Scars of royalty. However, the glamour of golden palaces and the brilliant light of intellect could not conceal the scars that history deeply etched into the very flesh of Berlin. In the fierce vortex of the 7 Years' War, as the Kingdom of Prussia struggled against the continent's most powerful alliances, Berlin was no longer an impregnable fortress. The invading footsteps of Russian and Austrian troops once trampled these streets, leaving behind bullet-scarred walls and absolute terror in the eyes of innocent citizens. Behind the magnificent opera symphonies and the lavish parties of the aristocracy were the cracked, bleeding hands of silent builders and the lives of tens of thousands of soldiers who fell on distant battlefields to defend the dynasty's ambitions. The dilapidated slums on the city's edge, where poverty and disease stood in stark contrast to the splendor of Unter den Linden, served as a painful reminder of the true price of greatness. Berlin was not only built of quartz and pure gold, but was also molded from the tears, sweat, and anonymous sacrifices in the darkest corners of history. Promise. The sunset slowly fades over the crests of the Brandenburg Gate, leaving long shadows stretched across the silent Unter den Linden boulevard. 18th century Berlin closes in the intersection between the brilliant light of reason and the heavy sediment of military conquests. What you have seen is a symphony of stone and blood, where a kingdom was built from the unthinkable ambition of a king. But Berlin is only one chapter in the book of time. Every stone, whether in the splendid east or the cold north, carries its own soul. The atmosphere begins to blur as the neoclassical structures are gradually obscured by a thicker, colder mist carrying the breath of the sea and rugged mountains. Let Berlin sleep with its grand dreams. We will meet again in Edinburgh of the 1700s, where the Highland mists shroud grey stone castles and the darkest secrets of Scotland.